hi everyone, here we are in the workshop once again. It's time for a new tool, this time from a company which many of you may already know across the store, called Liang. They do a lot of different kinds of tools, which I've got a fairly large range across my store. But I came across this one fairly recently because, as usual, I was trying to do something and I couldn't do it with enough accuracy. You'll hear that word a lot across all these videos: accuracy, precision, and right across the site as well. And I'm always looking for ways to improve those two things, precision and the accuracy. What I was trying to do was bend some brass rods. Really, I was looking for a tool which gave me certainly more accuracy, but also it gave me, I guess, a way of measuring with, again, more precision. And as luck would have it, Liang had a tool which I've been looking at probably for the last couple of weeks or so. I've been using it to bend some handles, because they really sort of kind of sell it on that. If you're looking to bend brass and other materials, particularly to replace maybe some handles on one of your models, then this tool might be ideal for you. So what I'm talking about is this guy. Bring it a bit closer to the camera so you can see it. And you can see it's a fairly simple tool, but one is quite effective at what it tries to give us model makers. It's very, very easy to set up. I'll just show you the back of the box as well. As you see, it's a couple of pieces of plastic with a couple of screw threads. So what we'll do is we'll get it out of the box and we'll assemble it, and then we'll do a little bit of bending so you guys can actually see how this works in practice. So we'll put the box over there. Right, so two baggies. One has the actual plastic pieces itself, which look like that, as you can see. Not sure how this was manufactured. Not sure if it was injection molded or if it was 3D printed. I have a feeling this was actually injection molded, judging by the injection points I can see on some of this. So it's very robust as well. I would say in the hand it does feel quite solid. But as you can see on the top face, it has graduated sort of teeth, if you like. That's where the actual brass rods sit when you're bending them. It also has a measurement, and that's the quite useful part when you're trying to figure out, well, how big should this handle be, or how wide should I be bending this brass rod for my application. And that's where the measuring tool comes in. I'll show you that in action in a second. Now, the whole thing assembles very, very easily. So you get a couple of nuts in the box, and you also get a couple of these threaded handles, which the two halves of the bending tool fit together. So what you do is, on the underside, you can see there's a couple of recesses, and that's where the nuts go, and you can fit those very, very easily into the recesses. So let's just do that. If I can get the nut with the right orientation before I press it home. So that's the first stage. Get the nuts into their recesses, the right way around, and then it's literally assemble the two halves with the screw handles, and they go in very, very easily like that. And I won't go all the way to the end because I'm going to need to undo them in a second. But that's how the tool sits on in my bench. I'll just put this in a drawer somewhere, ready for running when I want to use it. But that's how it actually assembles together. Very, very compact. If you want to know how compact it actually is, let me get a ruler. And this measures 75 mil from top to tail. As I said, very, very simple, but highly effective at what it's trying to do. If you have a look at their website, and also my store as well, there's a few images on the product page. It kind of tries to get you away from that whole thing, trying to bend any kind of material, particularly brass rods, with, well, say a pair of pliers, for instance. Or I think there's nippers, but my pliers seem to have walked away, as they tend to do. And the issue, of course, is when you're trying to bend anything that's malleable, you have the risks of putting some flat spots on it, because when you're trying to bend that, of course, you're putting force through the pliers and then through the material, and it's going to mark it, which is the issue. And I think that's where the whole idea for this came from, that you can bend the material without putting undue force, particularly over the bends themselves. So what you end up with is a much crisper edge. When the bend is complete, you can literally see that there's literally no marks on there, because you haven't used pliers. So let me get a piece of brass rod. What we'll do is we'll use some of these displays. What I would say is, now this tool is on the store, I've also sourced some of these from Display. They do a range of these brass rods. Let me just bring that a bit closer to the camera so you can see. Packaging is all pretty much the same, just different diameters. I'll show you those in a second. But I want to give you guys I guess a source. I'm sure you have a source already for these kind of things. But I've been testing this tool with the Display ones, and they are excellent. The quality of the brass material is very, very good, and that's what I was after. I'm always trying to find tools which elevate our hobby in some way, and certainly with the materials. And these brass rods were ideal for this application. So let me get one of these out of the pack. So this is a 0.5. So let's get one of these guys out if they want to come out. Let me open the box a little bit more and coax one of these guys out. There he is. So this is a 0.5. So I'll show the others in the range in a second. So 0.5. So what you do is, if you already understand the diameter of the bend that you want, then you can literally just put this into the teeth of the device. So I'll go down to say there, and that's 7 on the scale, and then literally all you do is you bend and you bend. But of course you know where you're bending to, because there's a recess in those teeth, and then when you take it out, you can see you have an absolutely perfect bend on that piece of brass. Let me find a darker space on my background just so you can see that. And again, on this edge there's no issues, on this edge there's no issues. If I'd tried to do that with a pair of pliers, chances are that edge there would be chamfered off, and that would be chamfered off. I'm sure you've all had that experience trying to do this. Likewise, on the underside, if you were trying to bend this, would you get that kind of perfect angle? Probably not. And that's why I quite like this tool. Very simple to use, but the effect that you get on the actual material is fantastic. Now, for instance, if that was a handle for, say, one of my semi-armoured vehicles, which I like to build sometimes, just snap that off, and that down. Let me just snap that off, and there's my finished handle. In fact, let me get a pair of tweezers if I can find them. It's probably easier than trying to see this in my fingers. Let me just grab that. So there you go. So let me just again find a dark place on my background so you can see that, and that would be the handle. That would literally be just like photo-etch, but I've replaced a styrene handle in the kit with this guy, and that will paint up beautifully and give me a nice crisp handle. Great for weathering, great for other paint effects, but you can see that the tool allows you to bend with that level of accuracy, and also the finish as well. The edge there, if you just pay attention to the edges, really, really nice. But I think that's also to do with the materials. As I say, I've tried a few different sources of brass rods to go with this tool, and good old Display again sort of went hands down because of the quality of the materials. Now, of course, you can do this freehand, which is what I just did, just literally just choosing one of the slots or one of the teeth on this device. But of course, if you have an actual application, how would you do that? So let's give that a whiz. So let me just put those there, put that out of the way. So what I've done is I've sourced a kit which has a couple of handles on it, and let me just get the where's the instruction gone? There it is, so you know which one I'm talking about. So I've got this kit because I was quite interested in this personnel carrier, Now, as it happened, the kit also has quad auto handles, so it's like perfect. I was interested in the kit and it has some handles, and I was going to show you guys a handle making device, so it was kind of perfect. So for this one, for instance, you have a couple of choices. If you look at the actual bodywork itself, you can see obviously where the handles are going to be located, you know, the holes there. So what you can do with this tool, if I can show you with my other hand, is what you can do is you can measure it. So you basically say, okay, the handle's going to go between, say, that slot and that slot, say these two here. So what you do is you basically go down the teeth until you find the teeth that perfectly match up with the holes. Then once you understand where that is, you can then use that guide for bending the brass rod, because you know when you bend it and cut the ends off, it's going to fit that space, you know, perfectly. So let's also show you on the sprue itself, because that space is for that handle. So what we're going to try and do is sort of replace that handle. Likewise, you could try and measure it. You could try and take this and basically use the tool. Obviously, take off the sprue and then try and measure that. And but it's not ideal. They tend to sort of advise to measure the space on the actual where the actual handle is going to be situated, and I think that's correct, because when you're trying to measure this, it's much easier just to try and get a good idea where that's going to go on your armor, or you know, wherever you want to put a handle. So for instance, if I'm doing it this way, so let's do that hole there. So that is going to be right on number 8. That's going to be number 8 on the I guess on the graduated teeth, shall we call them? Yeah, so that's number 8. So you can probably guess what the next stage is if I can pick this guy up. So let's undo this a little bit. Put him in, so we go down to number 8. Tighten that up so he doesn't move around. Not too much. Don't want to crush this, don't forget. But you shouldn't be doing that, because you don't need to put too much force through this. It's literally just a guide. So that's on number 8. So I'm bending that through to the guide for number 8. On the guide there. In fact, that needs to be a little bit tighter. And then again for number 8 there. So I'm bending it for the right slot. Just undo that a sec. Take him out. Okay, so that should fit onto this armor personnel carrier, because let's see if that's bent that to the right size. Now I was measuring that one. I was measuring that one there. So I would probably do that one again. It's slightly too small. So again, a little bit of practice with this. I reckon that's out by about 1 mil. So I would probably say, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that again, because I reckon I slipped when I was trying to do number 8. So let's put it in. Let's do it once again. Let's do it where we measured it, there and there. So I'm doing. Put him out. Okay. And let's see, does that now fit where I want it to fit? There you go. Perfect fit. So it was for these 2 locator holes there, and I've just bent that, so when I cut that, it should fit into those slots without any problems. But of course, the issue is it's the accuracy again. A little bit of practice with how you're actually going to handle this. It's certainly infinitely better than trying to do with a pair of pliers, which I was trying to struggle along with for a long time. So let me just nip off this guy. I just want to show you this in situ. So if I got him in there, there's my tweezers, and him in him in there. And so that would be the replacement. Let me just put that in a bit more. That would be the replacement for the existing part, which is on the sprue. I'm hoping you can see that, which I've just pushed. Let me just push that in a little bit more, so it's square. In fact, let me just do that so it's a bit higher, so you should be able to see it a little bit better on the actual armor itself. So that's how it would sit on the actual model itself when I get to that part. As I say, it's kind of sold as just as that, as a way to make handles if you need to upgrade what's actually in the box, if you feel the part isn't quite there, because you don't often get photo etch, do you, for handles and things. They tend to just injection mold them onto the sprue. This tool, of course, gives you the option of doing something a little bit different, and again, really raising the precision, raising the level of detail which you can actually achieve with this kind of thing. Now, I mentioned the brass bars. Let me just put him down there for a second. I said that one was the 0.5, which we just had a go with. Nope, it's not in the camera. There we go. And what display also have is a full range. Excuse me. That's the smallest, 0.5. Then it goes to a 1 mil. Then it goes to a 1.5. It goes to a 2, a 2.5, and then a 3. All these are on the store as you watch this. I sort of waited to get those in stock before I started talking about this guy. I'm sure you've all got plenty of stock of sort of brass stock and other things that you might, all the materials that you want to bend with this guy. But if you didn't, or you're looking for something, maybe an upgrade, then the display range could be ideal. They certainly sort of complement this tool. So that's the handle bending tool, although it's pretty much applicable to any kind of bending you really want to do, not just handles. It's perfect for handles, but not just handle, clearly. I felt that was nice and simple. I like things that are simple, but absolutely raise the game, give us more precision and more accuracy. Love that. And again, I like the idea that it's not overly complex, very easy to assemble. You need some practice, absolutely, to get the tension right here and here, particularly when you're trying to bend larger ones. But that's a bit of practice. Yeah, it's certainly a skill, but certainly nothing that I think any competent model maker could master within a few minutes or an hour or something with practice. But again, it gives you that option to get away from trying to bend this stuff with the pair of pliers and all the issues that sort of brings. So that is the new one from Liang, the handle bending tool. As always, if you have any questions or any queries, do get back to me. And of course, keep on modeling. Inside the device.